my channel, Brainies. In today's video, I'm going to talk about primitive reflexes. What are primitive reflexes? They are nothing but they are involuntary motor responses which originates from the brainstem. Actually, it is present after the birth in the early development of child. Reflexes are very much important in the assessment of newborns and young infants. These central nervous system motor responses are eventually inhibited between 4 to 6 months of age as the brain matures and replaces them with the voluntary motor activities, but may return within the presence of neurological diseases. Classification of reflexes: spinal cord reflexes, brainstem reflexes, midbrain reflexes, cortical reflexes, and automatic reflexes. So the first primitive reflexes, the first one is the Moro reflex, also called as startle reflex. So when a baby is startled by a loud noise or sudden movement, they will throw their arms outward wide, pull them back in, and often cry. This reflex usually disappears by 4 to 6 months of age. This is a picture depicting the Moro reflex. Next comes the rooting reflex. When a baby's cheek is gently stroked, they will turn their head towards the touch and open their mouth, which helps them to find the nipple to feed. This reflex typically fades by 4 months. The next is a sucking reflex. When something touches the roof of the baby's mouth, they begin to suck. This reflex helps with feeding and usually becomes voluntary by around 4 months of age. Next comes the palmar grasp reflex. When an object is placed in the baby's palm of the hand, they'll close their fingers tightly around it. This reflex gradually fades by around 5 to 6 months as the voluntary grasping develops. The next comes the plantar grasp reflex. The position of the child will be the supine lying position, both the arms beside the body, head at neutral position. So stimulus is that the therapist gently presses the thumb against the sole of the foot of the baby. The response of the child will be flexion and adduction of all toes as if the toes were firmly grasping the stimulus object. So the duration will be in the first 9 months after birth. The next comes the flexor withdrawal reflex. The position of the child will be supine lying, both the arms beside the body, head at neutral position. And the stimulus is being given by the therapist. Scratch the sole of the foot, either right or left side of the foot. The response will be the withdrawal of the stimulated leg from the stimulus with extension of toes, dorsiflexion of ankle, and hip and knees goes for flexion. This will be present during the first 2 months after the birth. The next comes the extensor withdrawal reflex. The position of the child will be supine lying as earlier with the head at neutral position and legs extended. Stimulus given by the therapist gently scratch the sole of the flexed foot. The response will be extension, adduction, and internal rotation of the flexed leg with plantar flexion of the foot. Duration will be the first 4 months after the birth. The next reflex is the crossed extensor withdrawal reflex. Child is held in supine lying position with the head at neutral position and legs extended. Stimulus given by the therapist, it's given to the ball of the foot. The response will be the opposite lower limb flexes, then adducts and extends. The duration will be the first 2 months after the birth. The next comes the stepping reflex. When held upright with the feet touching the solid surface, the baby will make walking movements. This reflex usually fades by around 2 months. Next comes the Babinski sign or Babinski reflex. When the sole of the baby's foot is gently stroked, their big toe bends backwards and the other toes fan outs. We could take it as abduction. This reflex typically disappears by 1 year of age. So these reflexes are crucial indicators of neurological development and these are routinely checked by pediatricians. So the disappearance of the primitive reflexes is generally a sign of normal brain development and nervous system development. Persistent or absent reflexes might indicate any neurological problems. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly support by subscribing and sharing. Meet you all in next video. Thank you once again.